Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please subscribe and keep watching for more detailed videos. Steve Burton has always been a name that General Hospital fans instantly recognize. His years in the role of Jason Morgan carved him into the heart of the audience. But outside the fictional drama of Port Charles, Steve himself has lived through very real emotions with his colleagues, especially when it comes to saying goodbye. What makes this moment so powerful, and what he has recently opened up about, is the deeply personal farewell he had to experience not once but twice when it came to Leslie Charleson, the beloved actress who played Dr. Monica Quartermaine. When Steve talks about Leslie, there is a tone in his voice that tells you it is not just a professional connection. It is respect, it is admiration, and it is friendship built over decades. Leslie wasn't just a co-star. She was family in every way that mattered on set, and Steve's reflections show how difficult it is to let go of someone who has been such a guiding presence. The idea of saying goodbye to her twice is not something he shares lightly. It reflects the unique bond they shared, the history they built together, and the sense of closure that, in his own words, never quite feels complete. What makes Leslie's presence so remarkable is the sheer weight of her contribution to General Hospital. She embodied Monica Quartermaine for decades, and in that time, she worked with countless actors, many of whom came and went, but Steve's connection with her stands out. When you hear Steve recount his goodbyes, you get the sense that Leslie shaped the way he approached not just his craft, but also his relationships within the industry. He recalls moments that go beyond scripts, rehearsals, or scenes. He speaks of her warmth between takes, the subtle encouragement she always offered, and the way she could command a room simply by being authentic. The first time Steve had to say goodbye was hard enough. When someone as steady and iconic as Leslie steps back, there is an emptiness created on set that no one else can fill. It's not about recasting or writing around a character. It is about the living history that leaves with that person. Steve has described the moment as bittersweet on one hand, feeling grateful to have had so many years alongside her, and on the other, struggling to imagine the day-to-day rhythm of the show without her presence. For him, she was not just a scene partner, she was a mentor who embodied professionalism, resilience, and grace. Then came the second goodbye, which Steve admits was even harder. By then, the weight of time, memories, and shared experiences had only grown deeper. Saying goodbye again felt like reopening a wound that had barely healed. It wasn't just about losing a colleague. It was about losing someone who had become a consistent reminder of why General Hospital had lasted as long as it has. Leslie was more than an actress. She was a keeper of the show's soul, a living link to its golden years, and a shining reminder of why soap operas hold such a unique place in television history. Steve often reflects on how Leslie carried herself on and off screen. She was someone who had already built a legendary career by the time he stepped into his own, but she never made anyone feel less than her. Instead, she welcomed younger actors, offered them encouragement, and treated them as equals. Steve credits her with teaching him patience, showing him how to carry the weight of a storyline, and reminding him that even in the fast-paced world of daytime television, the relationships you build behind the scenes matter most. It is touching to hear Steve describe the way Leslie would light up the set. She had an unmistakable presence, a blend of professionalism and warmth that immediately put people at ease. Whether she was delivering a heavy monologue or sharing a laugh between takes, she radiated an authenticity that stayed with everyone. Steve has said that watching her work was like attending a masterclass, and even after years of acting himself, he always found something to learn from her. One of the most moving things Steve admits is how these goodbyes remind him of the fleeting nature of television. For fans, the episodes air day after day, year after year, and it sometimes feels endless. But for the cast, there are moments where time stops. A colleague leaving, stepping away, or retiring marks a turning point. When Steve speaks about saying goodbye to Leslie twice, he is really speaking about those turning points that shake the foundation of everything familiar. You realize the faces you've grown used to seeing every morning in the makeup room, every afternoon on set, every late-night table read, they won't always be there. And even when you know it, the actual moment hits harder than expected. For Steve, the bond with Leslie is deeply personal because of the characters they portrayed. Jason and Monica's dynamic was complicated, filled with tension, love, and difficult choices. Off-screen, though, there was a closeness that reflected mutual respect. Leslie took pride in every actor who worked alongside her, and Steve was no exception. He often recalls the way she championed him when he doubted himself, the way she offered advice without judgment, and the way she reminded him to stay grounded, no matter how chaotic the storyline became. There's also the human side of Steve's story. Beyond the lights and cameras, he faced his own ups and downs leaving the show, returning, navigating personal and professional challenges. Through those years, Leslie remained a constant figure. She was someone who remembered where he started, celebrated how far he had come, and stood by him when the industry tested his resolve. That's why these farewells weigh so heavily on him. When you lose someone like Leslie from your everyday life, it feels like losing an anchor. When Steve opens up about these goodbyes, he is not just talking about himself. He is speaking for the entire cast, crew, and even fans who grew up watching Leslie bring Monica to life. Everyone has their own memory, their own connection, their own sense of gratitude. But Steve's perspective gives us a glimpse of what it feels like to be in that inner circle, to share not just screen time but genuine friendship with a woman who dedicated her life to a role that became the reality that the show must go on. Storylines will continue, characters will evolve, and new actors will take center stage. But that doesn't erase the impact of someone like Leslie. She has left fingerprints all over the fabric of General Hospital, and Steve knows that her influence will always linger in the way people approach their roles, treat their colleagues, and honor the history of the show. What stands out in Steve's reflections is gratitude. He doesn't dwell on regret or sorrow. Instead, he chooses to celebrate the time he had, the lessons he learned, and the memories that will never fade. It's not about forgetting the pain of goodbye, but about holding on to the joy of having shared the journey. He believes that Leslie's legacy is not just in the episodes she filmed, but in the countless lives she touched along the way. And that's the heart of why he opens up about this so candidly. Saying goodbye twice may sound painful, but it also underscores just how meaningful the connection was. If it didn't hurt, it wouldn't matter. The fact that it hurts shows the depth of respect, admiration, and love he carries for Leslie Charleson. In honoring her, Steve reminds us all why relationships, whether in acting, in life, or in any profession, are what give our stories true meaning. As he shares his memories, his gratitude, and his struggles with letting go, Steve invites us to reflect on the people who shape our own lives. Just as Leslie shaped his career and gave him strength, we all have someone whose presence defines our journey. And when the time comes to say goodbye, maybe more than once, the best way to honor them is the way Steve honors Leslie, by remembering, by celebrating, and by carrying forward the lessons they gave us. Because at the end of the day, the story of General Hospital is not just about fictional drama. It is about the real bonds formed behind the scenes, bonds that transcend scripts and scenes, bonds that live on long after the cameras stop rolling. Steve Burton's heartfelt goodbye to Leslie Charleson is not just his story. It is a reminder for all of us that goodbyes are never truly the end. They are acknowledgments of the profound impact someone has had, and they are invitations to carry that legacy with us into whatever comes next. Come back to our channel for all your updates. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel.